Man, I recently interviewed Brent Hirose on Noonbory and the Super 7, and now one of the other actresses from Noonboy and the Super 7 is with me. But she, unlike Brent, she played a Guri, Rosygury, Melanie Dahling.
Hi.
Hey! So she's a comedian, and I was wondering if you have any acting or comedy inspirations before we get on to
Yeah.
Noonboy.
Sorry, what was that?
Before we get on to Noonboy, I just want to ask, who are your comedy and acting inspirations?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually recently, well, my big answer is always Maria Bamford. I think she is so funny and she really changed the game for me comedically. Like when I first started stand-up comedy back in oh God, I don't even want to think about it, a long time ago. Um, I was very straightforward in my approach to stand up. I thought I get up there and I'm kind of rude for 5 minutes and then that's it. And then but as a child I'd always been drawn to like very strange comedies. Like one of my favorite movies as a kid was Clifford, starring Martin Short. You know about this?
I know Clifford, the big red dog, yes.
No, it's not that
Oh,
one.
oh, oh.
It's a very strange, but I mean, hey, icon, legend, Clifford the Big Red Dog, lest we forget, in our hearts and minds forever. Clifford the movie is a very strange comedy starring Martin Short, where he plays a 10-year-old boy, but he's a grown-up Martin Short, and hilarity ensues. If you watch it, there's a lot of heroes from comedy in the 90s that you will see there. So, yeah, I was always into comedy that felt a little strange. As a teen, I watched a lot of like Kids in the Hall. But then when I started comedy, my approach was kind of more straightforward. And then I discovered Maria Bamford, and she's like nothing I'd ever seen before. And she just took me in a whole new direction. And I wouldn't say that our comedy is necessarily alike, although we do both play with voices. And she does a lot of voiceover work. Um, but she just inspired me to embrace a different side of myself on stage, I guess, and not have to do stand up the way I thought I was supposed to be doing it. So Maria Bamford's my big answer always, but my littler answer is I just recently started watching the show Dave with there's a rapper who goes by the name of Lil Dicky, and I'd never heard of him before. Um but I just this show like started out as this goofball comedy and then it became really nuanced and they added so much perspective to the female characters. I love that. And Pen 15 is another all-time favorite comedy. Those two women are so funny and they just do I really love when you can do clownish, crazy, cartoony comedy, but with heart that's very grounded, that's not like I'm just doing this because it's funny. Like I want it to come from somewhere within the actor. And yeah, that those are my inspirations. And really watching a recent episode of Dave, I was like, I gotta get back into acting because I've been doing mostly comedy and I really miss playing characters. So that's a long answer, but that's my answer.
All right. Speaking of playing characters, it's now time for the fun stuff.
Yay.
Noonboy. What was the audition progress like? Did you audition for more than one character?
Yes, I did. I Now, this is a little fuzzy for me because during this time I was going to an acting school and we did a section on voiceover work. And that's
Mhm.
where I kind of figured out I had a knack for this. And I think because of that school, I found out about an audition at Da Capo Productions, which was a lovely recording studio in Winnipeg, where I grew up. And I don't think this was my first gig with them. I think I had a couple little gigs, and then I got to audition for Noonbory. Okay, it's all coming back to me now. I remember that, yes, I remember this audition now. I had prepared a really cartoony, crazy voice, and then I heard some of my peers in the room doing just kind of normal voices, and I started to have a bit of a panic of like, was I supposed to do this more natural? But then I was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna do what I've prepped. And I did, and they were really happy with it. And they were, it turns out, going for more of a like wackadoo kind of feel. And Rosygury, I believe, if I remember correctly, the first audition was just kind of like random snippets, like no specific characters. And then I came back for Rosygury. And then once I had landed Rosygury, I also auditioned for, I believe, one of the Bories, who I think she has the power of smell, but I didn't get that one.
Uh, Pondyboy, he's a male.
Oh, well, they might have been playing with that a little bit in the audition process. But I just
Wow.
remember there was one a really cute little one that I was having a lot of fun with the voice, and I thought I nailed it, but I guess they were like, no, thank you. But they really liked me as Rosie Gurry. And honestly, in my voiceover work back in the day, I was usually either playing the most innocent, like cute little thing, or I would always be villain. I skew villain.
What did you have to do to nail Rosie's voice?
Yeah, that was actually, I remember when you first emailed me, I was like, interesting story. This is
Yes,
the
yes.
story I remember immediately, was that Rosie was originally, I was really playing up villain. So I was being, it
Yeah.
was a lot darker, it was a lot like raspier and kind of
Mhm.
scarier. Um, because I think I maybe wasn't sure of the age demographic at the time. And I was hearkening back to like the cartoons I grew up with, like Care Bears has has like a really raspy like lady
Yeah.
villain. And I was kind of like playing into that kind of, and she's also like she can control flowers, so I thought of Rosie as kind of like witchy. And it wasn't that different of a voice, but there was just a lot. It was deeper and raspier. And we were having so much fun with it in the studio. But then the producers came back and they were like, too scary. So then we had, and then I saw more of the storylines often have to do with Rosie kind of having a softer side. And so we just made her a lot lighter, brighter, and she's kind of more like I don't want to say dopey, but kind of ditzy than she is like evil. Like she's more just
Yeah.
like self-involved, if
Yeah.
anything.
Like an anti-hero?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I could see a world where she could have her spin-off and be an anti-hero for sure.
Have you used Rosie's voice for other projects or comedy or within your comedy life?
Um, yeah, I like her voice. I wouldn't say her exact voice because it was such a specific formula that we really like. I worked on with Nolan at DeCapo, and I feel like Rosie lives in that time, and I can't quite duplicate how we got there. But the color of her voice, like that, like that kind of little sounds, I definitely use like on stage, I slip in and out of voices, and sometimes I'll use those like little cutesy kind of voices when I'm trying to be very like make fun of myself in a powerless moment kind of thing. Like if I feel like I don't have any authority, I'll slip into that kind of voice. Um but yeah, and honestly, I'd love to have more. I want to do more voiceover work. I've realized through this, so like I really miss it. So I would love to have a Rosie style character again one day.
Ooh, all right. Do you have a favorite episode that centers around Rosie?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I don't necessarily have a favorite episode, but I remember my favorite to record was anything where Rosie is moving around a lot. Because I remember um I used to have such discomfort with like being animated in an acting setting. Like I just got embarrassed. And at DeCapo, they were really good at being like, no, you actually have to move. Like she's on a scooter and it's bumpy. And like I would have to be like, "Ah," and like have to like move around. And or like she gets like launched into the air at one point and I had to do like a scream, and it was really fun to play with coming closer and farther away from the mic or moving around the mic and trying to really create. And obviously there's a lot of amazing stuff they do with post production, but it was really cool to like get out of my comfort zone and play with my body in ways that at the time I felt so self-conscious about, and they made me feel really safe at Da Capo. So really lovely.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
We're done with Noonbory for now.
Okay. We're
For
done.
now,
Okay.
stay tuned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you worked with any of the Noonbory cast or crew for other related productions or other productions?
You know, I don't think so. Like Brent was very busy, so I we may have worked together and not even known about it. Because sometimes you're in the studio and the other person's in the studio and ne'er the two shall meet and
Yeah.
then it all gets slapped together. Um, uh, yeah, I do remember before, when I was like a very young teen, like 12, 13, I used to take voice lessons, and we would always have these music festivals we would do where we would get adjudicated on our voices, and it was really high stress. And Brent was a superstar at those things. He would always just come in and like tear the walls down and sing in this amazing voice, and like I was always so intimidated by him. So because I often got stage fright at those things and ended up not singing my best, I will say. So it was funny to then work with him on this cartoon and kind of feel like I felt a little more in my element. So as far as working with anyone after Noonbory, yeah, not that I'm aware of, but possibly.
All right. I have one more question and then I have a big surprise for you.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. What are your personal thoughts on the show?
I love the show and I'm so happy that you were watching it. I don't know, because when I was recording it, I wasn't the demographic that was going to be watching it. I was not a child or a person with children, or I just didn't really have kids in my life at the time. So I didn't really know who it was getting to, if anyone. And I think it's a really sweet, really whimsical show, and I know that the people at DeCapo put so much work into it, and they really cared about these characters, and we had so much fun recording it. So I love the like it's just a really wholesome content. So I'm really happy the end result. I'm always really happy to watch it.
Mm.
It's very sweet.
Just like how you're sweet. Hee hee hee. All right. So I haven't watched Noonboy on my TV since it last aired, and I interviewed Brent, and I'm hoping now that I even interviewed you, Noonboy can have a little reunion, and maybe this can also help. I drew this myself,
Oh, wow. Look at you got all the little guys in there.
and this one I'm gonna get to in a little bit.
Okay.
And I didn't forget about the Gurries. I put you on the center.
Amazing. I love it.
I put all the Gurries with their powers and abilities, and you are the Slayer Gurry.
Whoa. Yeah,
Did you see the pictures okay?
I did. That's so cool.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything you want to ask me?
Um, well, what was your story with discovering this show?
Uh,
Like, was it a big it was a big regular watch for you? How'd you get into it? Do you even remember?
oh yes, yes, definitely. In the late 2000s, early 2010s, usually when I have breakfast, I turned on TV and BBC Kids was up and Noonboy and the Super 7 was on air. Sometimes I see all the eps, sometimes I watch the entire episodes, but sometimes I don't because I took swimming lessons when I was
Oh, okay.
little. So but I still watch all the clips and videos on YouTube because it's my childhood. It's one of my favorite 2000s TV shows of all time.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about voiceover work is you're in the studio and you see the animation and it all looks great and sounds great, but you don't always really know because I think as an actor, people seek you out and
Yeah.
directly speak to you, but as a voiceover, you're behind a cartoon face. So
Yes.
it's I don't always know what's getting out there and how people are responding. So that's
Hmm.
really cool.
Oh, yes. Now, the character I pointed at, am I a better gory or am I a better Guri? Hee hee.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you're a Bori that turns into a Guri.
Oh,
That could be
oh,
a good story arc. You know,
oh,
these
yeah.
days, we all love a backstory on a
Yeah.
villain these days.
Yeah. I'd love for the new reunion to happen, and
Mhm.
I'd love a Borigiri story. That would be pretty wicked.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, not all my energy is out. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me, Melanie.
Yeah, thanks so much. This is fabulous. Have a great day.
You too.